So this is part of the budget process, that same needs. So I got a bill on.
Are you ready, Dan? Excuse me. Good evening, everyone. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for the invocation by Deacon Ken Carpinelli. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you for this hour of this day, a time in which we can come together, a time in which we, the people, have a voice. We pray, though, for the leaders who are here. Give them the wisdom, the strength, and the courage to do the things that are going to be right for those who are under their lead. Help them to know how to care for each other. For you are the good shepherd. Thank you, Lord, for the fact that you will lead us and guide us to where we need to be. Strengthen us in what we do. Help those who help others. Keep those safe. And may we also take care of each other along the road of life we have. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Good evening. This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the schedule of the meeting of the Township Council, established and adopted by the Township Council, which schedule designated the time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We are using electronic amplifying recording device in order to obtain a clear and audible record. Request all those wishing to speak be recognized and state your name and address directly to the microphone. The recording device will be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office and shall be the official record of the Township Council meetings. Madam Clerk, may I have the roll call, please?
Mr. Meunier?
Here.
Mrs. Albright Troxel? Here. Mrs. Grace Love?
She is ill.
Mr. Nash?
Here.
Mrs. Walters? Mrs. Winters? Here. Mr. Rapato?
Present.
Mr. Gardner?
Here.
Mr. Gardis?
Here.
Chief Perkins?
Here.
Mr. McGill?
Here. We'll now have our first public portion. This is for agenda items only. Each speaker is entitled to 3 minutes. There's 15 minutes during the first public portion. Anyone like to speak during the first public portion? This is for agenda items only. Mr. Polidoro.
Good evening, Council. Ray Polidoro from the Historic Village of Ariel.
Good evening.
On the agenda tonight is ordinance 24-10. For some improvements, you're putting a bond, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Every once in a while, you guys give me a reason to come up here and praise something you've done. I've always praised you for continuing to have invocation. It's always good to start a meeting with that, and when a lot have faded, let that go. You guys have stood tall with that. You give me a second reason to do so. Many times we come up here and ask why you had, why the administration had forwarded, and you guys have unanimously voted on bonds, and then went and applied for a grant afterwards. And if I'm not mistaken, what I'm seeing here is you actually did apply for and got a grant, received the funds, and now are only floating the bond for, or getting the bond for the offset amount. Is that correct?
Mr. Cardis, can you respond to that?
What's happening here is that the auditor had reviewed what the CFO had done with the grant money for both Mulberry Station and Sturbridge Oaks Playground. And in this particular instance, she enacted a chapter 159, and that is to bring in that money as if it was all revenue. Since there was a match, and that match would come out of capital, the auditor made the recommendation that this be corrected and that the 159 be negated and in place this bond ordinance. So it is not
Sideways shift.
It's cleaning up an accounting issue.
So is this a new grant, or are you telling me this is a sideways grant?
This is an older grant. For the most part, both projects are complete except for the addition of some fitness equipment, which must be added to it under the agreement we have between ourselves, the township, and the state.
Okay, so in essence, you did take a grant, unused grant?
Brought it in as a chapter 159. That is different than doing the bond.
Okay.
The auditor again corrected it and said, do not do the 159 on this. I want you to do a bond ordinance to correct it. And that's what we're doing. We're introducing that bond.
So you're negating the praise I was about to give you? It still is a wonderful idea. I was getting ready to tell you you're welcome for such a great idea, as we have mentioned it many times. It still is a good idea. And on projects such as this, it really would be phenomenal to see the horse before the cart and not borrowing money out of the wazoo unnecessarily when you could get the grant, achieve the grant, or you'd be denied a grant, then know how much you need. Because one of the problems that we have is a borrowing problem. We have a spending problem, we always did, but borrowing problem. As you move forward, you said if you guys get rid of the MUA and you sell it and you're gonna take that money and pay off your debt. In essence, with this in mind, wouldn't any new bonds that you're looking to hit on be at a higher rate than we've seen in quite some time?
You're asking me
The rates.
if we were to borrow money.
If you were to borrow money right now, the rates are about as high as we've seen them in quite some time.
I would say that's probably a safe thing to say. I think there's somewhere long-term debt, 12 years, probably looking at somewhere.
Are you talking about this ordinance in general or just the
Any
general?
general,
fund?
for the foreseeable,
Just
for
the
the
general
foreseeable
fund?
future right
I would
now,
say somewhere between 3 and 4%,
up from where they have it.
or towards 3.5.
Okay. Well, I'll take a rain check. I hope you, when you're ready to borrow more money, and we know you will, that you'll throw that horse before the cart, and then I can go.
I'll let you know.
Give you some praise. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Seeing none, we'll go to the first public portion. Ordinance first reading, introduction. There will be hearing at the second reading. Bond ordinance authorizing the completion of various park improvements in the township of Gloucester, County of Camden, New Jersey, appropriating a sum of $586,521. Therefore, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds or bond anticipation notes for the township of Gloucester, County of Camden, New Jersey, in the aggregate principal amount of up to $146,630, making certain determination of covenants and authorizing certain related actions in connections with the foregoing. I entertain a motion
I'll make that motion. Second.
on the question. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel. Yes. Mr. Nash.
Yes.
Mrs. Walters. Yes. Mrs. Reynolds. Yes. Mr. Mercado.
Yes, next is our consent agenda. Any council member would like to have any of those items removed from the consent agenda, please speak up. When we go to vote. Okay. I'm sorry, cut you off. Yes. If you have to abstain from any particular things, you can do that. Is there a motion?
I'll make that
to
motion.
accept? Is there a second?
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel. Yes. Mr. Nash.
Yes.
Mrs. Walters.
I consent, but I will abstain, on the resolution of bills on 24-02009 and page 824-02008.
And yes to the rest?
Yes, there is.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Resolution 146, resolution approving open space tax levy for 2024.
Is there a motion?
Make that motion.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Resolution 147, resolution extending a temporary budget for the Township of Gloucester temporary budget appropriation for 2024.
May I have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Resolution 148, resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Gloucester County of Camden, State of New Jersey, governing body certification of compliance with the United States Equal Opportunity Commission's enforcement guidance on consideration of arrest and conviction records and employment decisions under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second, Ms. Winters, thank you. On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Resolution 149, resolution approving introduction and providing notice for the public hearing and public inspection of the 2024 municipal budget.
Mr. Carter, you want to add anything to that?
This year's budget has total appropriations of $79,511,947.35. That would be an increase from the prior year of $2,724,784.22. The increase to the local purpose tax levy is $2,594,877.16, and that results in an increase in tax rate of 4.53 cents.
4.53 cents. Okay. So this is being introduced. It's just the introduction of the budget. There will be a hearing on that budget on the May 29th meeting that's pushed to a Wednesday due to the Memorial Day holiday. So I'll have a motion, please.
Make that motion.
Is there a second? Again, this is the introduction of the budget, not the approval. On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Next is our GTE Gov access emails. Nancy, keep me straight if I miss any. Okay. So we had a eGov, Mr. Ricardo Jenkins that came in after the deadline 2 weeks ago from 69 Fox Meadow Drive. I would like to express my concern related to running the yellow light. Can taxpayer-paid red light cameras be voted on? This was a 5-year pilot program that sunset. Chief, give me 2014.
December 16th, 2014.
Okay, December 14th. And I don't foresee that coming back. Chief, do you have?
I don't believe there's any interest in it. The state legislator would have to be passed at the state level.
Okay, thank you. Our next eGov is from David Leader at 1105 Huntington Avenue. I would like to know what each of the services currently provided by the MUA are included with the sale of the MUA to a private company. Also, will the township have any supervisory function of the services provided by the new MUA company? Mr. Carter, do you want to respond to that?
As far as services, I mean, obviously they maintain the system, which consists of 51 pump stations, all the pipes and convey, it's a conveyance system. They convey the sewage to the to the Camden County, transfer station, which I believe is right on the Blackhorse Pike, which then goes up to Camden. So, you know, if a private company were to take over, they would be responsible for, service of all the pump stations and obviously the infrastructure, which would include all that piping, generators and so forth and so on. There is a service that the sewer utility, I'm not going to use the word MUA because it is not in the authority of the law, that the sewer utility continues to provide. And that is to do cleanouts on private land with the permission of the homeowner. So the homeowner is required to sign off on a hold harmless agreement. I provided you a copy of that, Mr. Mercado. So that is something that would not be the responsibility of the private company. It is definitely something that we can and should talk about if it starts heading in the direction of private takeover, whether or not we want to continue to do that, and if we do we want to do that through public works. I believe it's quite doable, but we need to talk about it.
So there's a possibility, and we have the labor force that could possibly provide this service to our residents.
I would tell you yes.
Thank you, Mr. Cardis. Our next e-gov is from Jen O'Donnell, 1030 New Brooklyn Road, Erie, New Jersey. By submitting my email and phone number, I do not give permission for them to be used for any type of notifications. I have sampled many projects indicated on the capital budgets over several years. Between the money borrowed and money spent, there has been a 33% difference. With that in mind, we have borrowed 33% more than we needed for any given project. Gloucester Township notoriously gets grants for some of these projects, and the grant money has never been used to pay down the debt. According to Mr. Cardis, it's because we don't have to. We also don't use the excess money we borrow to pay down the debt. Again, Mr. Cardis says we don't have to. If the sale of the MUA goes through, council has stated that the proceeds can only be used to pay down the debt. Are there any loopholes to that regulation? Is there a reason Mr. Cardis can say we don't have to? Not to my knowledge. That it is from the information that I've read and the legal counsel for the township that proceeds from the sale have to pay off the debt of the township. Mr. Cardis, you want to add anything to that?
No, you're correct. The first amounts of money received, proceeds would be used to pay off the sewer utility debt, which is what was previously called NJEIT loan money. It's now iBank money. So that would need to be paid off first. Then you would also then have to pay off any notes that the township has, any iBank loans, because we do also have iBank loans that were previously NJEIT that were for drainage projects that we completed. And then you would also need to pay down the bonds if possible. And I say if possible because you would have to, in all probability, wait till there's a call option on the bonds or if the bonds mature. So you would set aside money in escrow to make those payments. And then if there was any money after which, I believe it would go, my understanding is it goes to surplus and it's unrestricted in surplus.
Thank you, Mr. Cardis. Well, we had 3, correct? 3 more? Okay. That concludes our e-gov. Ms. Parrish, before I go to the public portion, you had a list of questions that we'll address during the public portion. Okay, is that fine?
I just want to get out of here so I can celebrate the Passover.
Okay. We discussed early, Ms. Parrish, we discussed early.
I know, but
Okay.
I have a question real quick.
You asked before the meeting.
But you just changed the Memorial Day to another day. Why couldn't you do this for Passover tonight?
Well,
Is it just
we can
certain
take that
holidays?
under consideration next year.
You do
Okay.
it for.
Ms. Parrish, we had a conversation earlier today that you were not going to shout out,
I'm
please.
not shouting, I'm just asking a question.
But I'm asking, yes, but you asked that before the meeting as well.
Right, but I just want to put it on the
Okay,
record.
thank you. Okay, so that concludes our egos. We'll now open up the second public portion. This is for any item that the public would like to speak of. Each person is entitled to 5 minutes, it's 30 minutes during the second public portion. You may speak up to 2 times, but only a second time once everyone has spoken. Ms. Paris, we're going to address, I see 3 hands, Mr. Polidoro, followed by Mr. Sweet, followed by Ms. Smithman. So, Ms. Paris, I'm going to read these questions and you can respond to it, and I have
No, I
Mr.
just want to
Carlo.
listen to him.
Okay, all right. How many medical dispensaries are in the township? There are 3 that are open.
Okay. Respond back.
How many licenses switched over to recreational dispensaries? We don't have that information as far as how many have switched over to recreational dispensaries.
I'll wait again.
3, how did the gym open when the owner was in prison for over 30 years and is the owner of Honey Group? All licenses are approved by the cannabis facilities are investigated and granted by a New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission. Municipalities do not have licensing oversight of cannabis facilities. Inquiries can be directed to the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission. That information we could provide you. There's a phone number, 609-376-7373. 4, why won't the township and chief of police charge Black Diamond Lounge for sharing hookah bowls? The police department and the township do not enforce consumer health and environmental regulations. The Canham County Health Department is the agency responsible for enforcing health code violations. As a result of Ms. Paris's complaint at the April 8th council meeting, a referral of her complaint was made to the Camden County Health Department. There's a case number 2024-17461. That's a Gloucester Township Police Department case number.
Could you repeat after 2024?
2024-17461.
Okay.
For further information on other health code complaints, Ms. Barris should be referred to the Camden County Health Department,
No problem.
Environmental and Consumer Health Bureau at 856-374-6000. 5, protection for the schools. Why no metal detectors? Questions about the installation and operation of metal detectors at schools should be directed to the 2 school districts, the Black Horse Pike Regional School District, which is Triton, Timber Creek, and Highland, and then the K-8 School District, Gloucester Township Board of Education for our elementary and middle schools. How much money are we getting from the dispensaries? That was the answer. I had it. Hold on. I printed it up. Bear with me for 1 second. Printed up all these things. Okay. Okay, here we go. Bear with me, I'm sorry. Tom, was it 32,000?
Yeah, let me read you what we have. The township receives a 2% tax on cannabis revenue. The tax is due on the revenue generated by February 1st of the following year. The township received $38,960.60 in 2024 for 2023 cannabis revenue.
Okay, and thank you, Tom. And the last part, GEM solar panels are illegal. Who's in charge of it? So they are not illegal. There is a timeline that was provided for the solar panels. I have that as well. Do you have that for Mr.? Okay. There was a timeline where there was a land development permit that was approved on October of 27, 2020. There was a NJDEP soil remediation action permit that was approved on September 2020. There was a landfill disruption permit that was provided by New Jersey DEP that was issued on January 14th, 2021 and extended to July 14th, 2022. A flood hazard applicability determination by the DEP was on March 21st. A freshwater wetlands letter of interpretation by the DEP was issued on May 11, 2021. A soil conservation district plan approval by the King County Soil Conservation District on March 26, 2021, and a stormwater construction general permit issued by the DEP on November 8th, 2021.
Okay, you finished.
That is the end of my
You
question.
finished up 5 minutes, so I get 5 minutes now.
No, it doesn't
Right.
work that
Well,
way.
then I'll wait for somebody else and then I'll go for 5
Yes,
minutes.
okay. There's 3 people on you.
That's
Mr.
fine.
Polidoro.
Good evening again, Council. Ray Polidor from Ariel.
Good
A
evening.
couple of quick questions. The temporary budget has been introduced with a 4.53 cent increase. That is
It's not the temporary budget, that's.
No.
the actual-
the introduced. You still have $1.5 million that you grabbed from the MUA you did not use last year. Does that include this into the general budget?
There was an anticipated amount from the surplus of the sewer utility. Again, you refer to it as an authority. It's not an authority any longer. That has since been disbanded. Ms. Sarah, do you have the amount that you put in there?
$2,005,000.
So a little bit over roughly $2 million was anticipated.
Of the former MUA
Of
funds.
the former MUA, the sewer.
And that is still leaving, 3 million that the, what's that board that approved you to, I can't think of their name at the moment.
Talking about the local finance. board.
Local Finance Board told you can use half of the 6. Is that, you still have preserved that 3 million?
That's what we were told in 2023. It was not applicable to any future years. What it was applicable to was 2023. I don't know what the remaining balance is.
So you've dug into more than 3 million at this point?
I would say we're beyond 3 million, probably by about 800,000.
All right. So you've got that extra money again this year and you still couldn't find a way to balance the budget, bring a responsible budget without a tax increase?
I believe this is a.
You keep bringing more and more revenue in, which, never mind, it leads to my next question. So open space levy. The more I see open space money being spent, the less I see it being spent on preserving open space. It seems that you use a majority of it, correct me if I'm wrong, on pre-existing projects. When do you, or what percentage would you say you're using open space money that we're taxed for to actually preserve more open space? As we're seeing more and more developments in the township, what is on green land, it looks like our open space is diminishing, not increasing. But yet the open space levy funds that you have, I don't see them being spent on preserving new open space. Can you give me a percentage of what that money is being spent on if it's not new open space?
How about if I do this? How about if I email you tomorrow the referendum that was overwhelmingly passed by the voters of Gloucester Township, I believe by 80%, and you read what those monies can be used for, and then rethink your statement in terms of what you're telling me. It's not to acquire open space strictly. It is for various things dealing with recreation, as far as it can even be cutting grass. It can be anything to do with open space and relative to that. And you should read the definitions in that.
I think if you.
It can be utilized to preserve and maintain,
Preserve and
open
maintain.
space.
Okay. I think if that went on a referendum today, I don't know that it would be as successful.
Would you like me to send it to you?
Oh, yeah, I would like to see that. Thank you. And again, this is not carved in stone. This is only introduced, so, you never know when you can find, more money that there won't be an increase. I still have that brand new magic wand in the bag for you when you need that. But thank you. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sweet.
Good evening, Council. Sam Sweet from Ariel.
Good evening.
Question with the sale of the MUA. If it hasn't, you guys haven't approved it yet, correct?
There hasn't even gone out to bid.
Okay, so it hasn't gone out to
Right
bid.
now, where it's at is with the state comptroller. It's back and forth with questions. But it's with the state comptroller.
So let's assume, just making an assumption, it goes out to bid, everything comes back, and it goes on the election in November. If it's voted down, can it be reintroduced next year? Is it something we're gonna have to vote on every year, or is it one and done?
I don't know, I can't answer that, but I can get an answer for you.
If
Mr.
you could,
Cars, would you
I
know?
don't know the answer.
all right, if you could, that'd be great. With the paying down of the debt of the MUA, if it is sold, you said something about paying down the bonds, but if the bonds are permanently financed, you've repeatedly stated that we can't pay down permanently financed bonds. So would it be the bond anticipatory notes if there's money left over?
You missed part of what I said. What I said is we would pay the notes down and then you would escrow money for the bonds. And those payments would be made based on call options and the maturity of the bonds. So you would be required to set aside money for monies that is permanently financed and bonded.
If there's money left over?
Yes,
All right, because you're gonna pay the NJEIT and
you have to pay all
all the other ones, and it's a priority.
If you have money, it has to go to debt.
But a certain order of debt.
Until you satisfy that debt requirement, and in the case of bonds, you would have to have set aside in escrow enough money to cover all those bonds. When all that is done and everything's covered debt-wise, if there's money left over, it then can go to surplus.
And I'm assuming that's a New Jersey statute,
Yes,
and it can be found online?
I could probably get it for you.
If you could, that'd be great.
You figure that, please?
In the past, with the introduction of the budget, I've asked for the revenue budget, preparation worksheet. I'm being told that I have to now Oprah it and wait the required 7 days, but I believe Oprah says that if it's available, I'm allowed to get it, and I've gotten it in the past, usually the day after the budget is introduced. So why have I gotten it in the past, and this year now I have to wait 7 business days?
Mr. Cars, is that available for him tomorrow?
I cannot tell you that you didn't vote.
That's the message I got back from the clerk who got it from Christy Ered.
My understanding is Christie Harris did not say you need to vote.
It'll be available tomorrow. What time can you come? And you can coordinate
Well,
that time.
can you email it to me, like as you've done in the past?
I don't know how much is there. I think that you get a considerable bit of information. I think it's the entire packet of council, so I'm gonna say, no, I'm not gonna email it, but you can pick it up.
All right, so between 9 and 9:30 tomorrow?
You have a
I can
copy,
email.
you want to email it to them?
It's just, I can email to you. I don't have the revenue portion filled out yet. So if you want that, it won't be available by 9. I have the expenditure side filled out, but not the revenues yet.
If the revenue portion isn't filled out, then how are we introducing a budget tonight?
Because I don't use that software to prepare the revenue side.
So
I
then-
don't use that particular software to do the revenues for my budget.
Okay, so then what do
Council
you,
has the revenue for the budget. They
so
have-
can I get what council got for the revenue side as well?
You
It's
should
the
get
state budget
exactly what-
document.
Yeah.
It's just a state budget document.
But
There's
it's
not a-
usually a breakdown of each individual item, so
I
Can I-
can fill it out for you, but it won't be available, but if you want the revenues, they will not be available by, I can't guarantee it's going to be available by 9 o'clock. I can give you the expenditures and I can have that to you by 9 o'clock, but if you want the revenues, it will be later on in the day. I can rerun the report when I get to it and I can, I have things going on here
Understood.
tomorrow that I have to do, so I can get it for you, but the revenues won't be available to you tomorrow.
all right, well, I can come back on Wednesday. Is Wednesday enough time? Or can you email me the revenues?
Yes, that should be fine.
Okay, and then
Thank
can
you
I
for
get
being
the,
flexible with it.
what's that?
Thank you for being
Oh,
flexible.
you're welcome. Can I get the packet that council got as well? A copy of that?
What have we provided Mr. Sweet in the past?
I'm gonna defer to Ms. Zara again. I believe she's given the packet. Is that correct?
I don't recall. I know we've done the budget prep worksheet in the past. Do you want-
I do.
Is there a reason I can't get the packet that council gets? Isn't that a government document?
Mr. Carlemere, Mr. Carlos, what have we provided you in the past? I'm asking you, what we,
You provided me the revenue budget prep worksheet with all the numbers filled in. And then those numbers tie out to the budget that you guys get. Now, I've never gotten a packet because that packet is sufficed with the revenue prep worksheet and budget documentation. It's about 150 pages or so.
The document that I give to council doesn't have the revenue part in it. When I run it, you've asked for it, so I filled it out for you.
So what he gets is, I believe what he gets is the state budget document and the detail that you have in your packet.
my question, is he getting something that Joe Q Public, any other person doesn't get it? Is he getting, here's my question, is he getting something that is not normally available to a residence?
In the sense that he gets the detail of the expenditures, yes, because the general public does not get that. Those are working papers. What the general public gets is the state budget document.
So we'll provide you what we provided you in the past, okay?
I'll
Thank you,
get
Mr.
what I've
Sweet.
got in the past.
What you've received, what you get last year, let's provide what we gave him last
He
year.
just said, he gets a state budget document and the detail.
Okay,
Yes, the
All right.
detail. And what about when council receives?
we're gonna give you what what we gave you in the past, okay?
So can I ask for more? Because I'd like to see
Well,
what council.
there will be, isn't there a budget that is online that will post it online? And you'll be able to access that.
I understand that, but is that what council gets? Why can't I have the same
Okay.
decision-making process that council gets?
We're gonna provide you with the information you received in the past, Mr. Carlemere, and then your time is up, Mr. Sweet.
I think that's the purpose of doing public records. You have to define what you want. Instead of this back and forth, and you say you can get what you said at the council meeting, that's why the Records Act requires you to fill out a form, this is what I want.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
But I'll
Mr.
still get
Sweet.
what I asked for tomorrow?
We went over that, sir.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
Ms. Smith.
Hi, good evening, council. My name is Shaughnessy Smithman. I live in the SDK Millbridge Gardens apartment complex.
Good evening.
In New Jersey, on the lower side. It's springtime. To, I guess, begin something new. When I was 20 years old, I had visited the Maui. It's an island in Hawaii. And I was told by the local residents that the whales travel from Alaska pregnant to Maui to give birth every year. So every year at about this time, all the whales on the West Coast are giving birth specifically in Maui. And then after they spend, I think this is when they leave. It's about this time. It's around the spring break time. And that's when they take the jet stream back with the newborns to Hawaii, and that's where they come from, because they were extinct. Start the council session off with springtime and a springtime type attitude. I wanted to thank council and the clerk, and I don't know what your position is. I know it has to do with paperwork though. And local police, being a resident since the year 2015 in what is considered Gloucester Township, knowing that I have been raised on the fabric of society, fully aware of that it was not anything that I could appoint council. I couldn't be on council. I couldn't be in charge of anything because I was fully aware that I stress the fabric to the point. Divorced parents and such, teenage mom, high school dropout, and all those things. But I do try to contribute as much as I could. If this is being at all reported, it should be known for the record that with the complaints that I had had before, as far as the things I was trying to work out with possible identity theft, fraudulent lawsuits, things, human trafficking, it would be considered. I have not made any complaint with the local Gloucester Township Police Department in any way. Although it seems as though somebody might be doing that without it being me. I've seen things like this before. People will, in a sense, take lawsuits against their own company because it's the insurance that covers it. I've heard that since I was a teenager. When people start to grow and mature, as we're growing, the people, they start to sue each other, claiming that it's just the insurance. I hope that nothing like that is occurring here within Gloucester Township. It's like a disease within any type of collection of minds trying to have a good purpose. My father, God rest his soul, never sued anyone that I was aware of. He had a small disability, honorable discharge from the Navy, and he died alone. There was nobody there. And it's been conveyed to me in more ways than one that should I continue to try to pursue, who would take over somebody's entire existence as far as their social security number, the things that places they've worked, and held fraudulent claims against them, even if it's just to attack them emotionally. Since there is a great gain in that, money-wise and ease of life, I'm probably gonna go by the way of my dad. Because I'm sorry, I don't know if it's stubborn, stupid, or I don't even know the word, hence high school dropout, but I don't agree. So thank you, council, for the assistance that you tried to provide. I was told I have to take the matter to a different township as far as my complaints, although I still reside here, so I'm still coming to these council meetings as long as I can. Won't get off that readily from my personality. But thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak that's not spoken yet? Ms. Danny, followed by Mr. Sweet.
Just want to ask a couple questions for you to return to me. Blue Mercury Company that's putting the solar panels on top of a mountain, which is not allowed since of 1985, and you can look that back up. And can I get the copies of those reports from the DEP through Oprah or something? All those things that you named out about the GEMS landfill?
Yes.
Because they went only 60 feet down. They didn't go into the ground to clear out the debris and all the chemicals and all the PFAAs that are in the ground. So Blue Mercury is giving you $10,000 a month to put the solar panels up there, and the second company is giving you $10,000 or $20,000, the township, a month. So by 10 years, you're going to make $1 million off of Blue Mercury, and the other company, I don't know how much you're making off of that too. So where's all that money going that you say you're broke?
That we broke.
No, you're broke. This township is in debt. You're making a ton of money off the landfill, off the solar panels that are not supposed to be there, because the landfill itself, I lived in Ariel and I got a $300 check when I was teaching college at Camden County College because my kids and I could have had cancer, okay, from that whole area. Homes were thrown apart, but the ones in front of that GEMS landfill in 1993 to 2000, 2010, 2015, because of that GEMS landfill. And you go up there and put a heated solar panels on top of a toxic landfill. It's the 5th largest landfill in this country. It's the 5th largest. How the heck do you put that up there when the water for the aqua water that goes underneath the ground comes to these apartment buildings and some of these houses in this area underneath that from Ariel aqua water?
Ms. Paris,
Can you answer that?
DEP signed off on it.
Well, can I get those papers?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I just hit myself. Great.
Yes, you can make that request to the clerk's office.
Thank you. I will make that request. Also, I want to see where they went down below 60 feet to clean out all the rubbish and the PFA chemicals that are going through the waters to all the homes that have aqua water and all the apartments here that have aqua water. Because nobody's notified them about the PFAAs in their water. So people are dying of cancer without having filters on their water if they can't afford it.
Thank you.
Oh, one other thing.
Oh, okay.
And to Chief Harkins, I waited 6 months for that report, and I still don't have it. And you have like maybe 10 more days, but I got a bill today from Twin Oaks, which is a mental center, and I don't go to Twin Oaks. But the day that your 2 detectives and 5 police officers came out, when I called in after 2 years of a man shooting a gun at 661 and was told never to call again, but the whole neighborhood still calls because they shot it off again the other day. I didn't call because I was threatened if I called, I'd be put in jail by one of your detectives. Not gonna name anybody, but I got a bill today from that place. I didn't call that place. Your detectives called that place. And I had 3 witnesses that saw me outside asking me why I was being discussed about my HIPAA law outside. So what's gonna go on now? Because I hired an attorney.
I would just have your attorney.
I'm going to, but you told me that there was nothing on the camcorders. Well, there was 6, 7 police officers out there and they each had a
You're saying
camcorder.
I told you that?
That's what he said last meeting. There was
No,
nothing
I
on
never
it.
said that.
Okay, well, I want to know where the report is. It's been almost 7 months now. That's all. Now, I put that on record for a reason.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Sweet?
It came to my house.
Mr. Sweet will be our last speaker.
Thank you very much for letting me talk tonight. I gotta go and pass over dinner with my family.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Maybe you'll change it next time.
Mr. Sweet.
So it's my understanding if I want to see the packet that council got, I have to open it. Is that correct, Mr. Carter?
Well, for clarification, that's why I made that statement, because you were going back and forth between council president and business administrator and the CFO is what you wanted. And there was a lot of difference of interpretation. That's the purpose of the Records Act. You put in writing what you want, you get what you put in writing. This back and forth causes you to complain, well, I didn't get what I wanted, and government to say, well, we gave you everything you put on the record, and you're saying that's not true. That's why it has to be in writing. Now, the council is trying to accommodate you, and business administrator is trying to accommodate you by saying, what do you want, and we'll give it to you. So, back and forth, I heard 3 or 4 different interpretations of what you want. That's why I made that statement.
Okay. Does council have a packet, a budget packet today?
I have a budget packet, yes.
Okay. What are the names of the reports that you got so I can make sure to open them?
Okay, some of those are not official reports, they're not produced through the admin system. And I understand exactly what Eric is talking about. Mr. Sweet is getting a realized revenue report that is coming from the admin system. And that is a standard report, correct, Mrs. Eric? That is produced on that system, on that accounting system. You also got last year, you received the state budget document, and you also received our detail, which has every single account that is in the state budget document broken down by supplies, professionals, the gasoline, all that stuff. It's all broken out. And that's what you received.
Yes, but that's still, and thank you for all of that. That still doesn't answer my question on the documents that President Mercado has in front of him.
I'm just gonna say, when you do your Oprah request, put you want the packet that was provided to council. We keep going back and forth with this. Just say you'll do it, okay? And put in the Oprah, and then we'll give it to you.
Okay,
Okay, we just keep going back and forth. We'll just give it to you. Put in an Oprah request, okay? Say,
Okay.
I want the packet that was given to council members. All right? And you'll get the packet that was provided to you,
okay.
okay? Anything else?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you. That will close the public portion. Polling directors, Mr. Carter, you had something to say, but should I jump the line on him?
No, he's first.
Mr. Carter, in response to Ms. Coyne, Mr. Carter has some information.
Right, there was some questions presented to council last meeting involving the James Lansville. And the question specifically is the creation of the phase 2 trust agreement. That was created by a federal court's case, which was called the consent decree. It was a federal court document where all the parties to the action were involved, and they consented to create a phase 1 trust that ran from 1979 to 1999. We created then a phase 2 trust that ran from 1999 to 2019. So in 2019, the trust that was referenced at last meeting, the council, that terminated in 2019. The New Jersey DEP, along with the EPA, took over control and management of the GEM site, and they had that control. That control started in 2015. So anything that happens on the GEM's landfill, including the solar panels, requires New Jersey DEP approval, not township approval. So once that application for solar panels, just for clarification, that applicant had to go to New Jersey DEP to go through whatever requirements and inspections they wanted before solar panels were permitted on top of the landfill. CCMUA ceased any treatment discharge from the landfill in 2019. That was one of the questions. I have also received today an industrial discharge monitoring system that says as of March 3rd, 2024, there was no violations and no discharge from that landfill. I think that was the questions that was presented.
Anything uranium related?
Nothing uranium related.
And I also spoke to the former solicitor of the MUA, and nothing in the last 20 years uranium related in regards to GEM's landfill, any discharge for that site. Next.
Mr. Morris?
Nothing to report.
Chief Harkins?
Nothing to report.
Mr. McGill?
Thank you.
Mr. Munoz?
Everyone have a great night and a great week. Thank you.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes, I went to the Field of Dreams last weekend, and I want to tell you, it was really a wonderful event to see these young people playing ball and the adults that are helping them. And it was a joy to be there, and I would encourage everyone to come out to the games because it'll make you appreciate life more and appreciate the love that these children get from people that are helping. And thank you all for coming out.
Mr. Nash?
Thanks for coming out. Have a good night.
Mrs. Walters?
I wanted to thank everybody for coming out to Field of Dreams. It was exciting to see the kids' faces and to see the parents watch their kids play. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight and have a good week.
Mrs. Winters?
I actually wanted to say I was at the Field of Dreams. It is you just leave there feeling so good about yourself and about the township. I mean, seeing those children out there just, it really gets to you. And they just appreciate it so much. And it is nice to see the smiles. Michael, thank you for taking that on. I know it's a big undertaking, but you do a great job with it.
A lot of help. Thank you.
Gloucester Township Hockey Association starts their tournament, which is the biggest tournament of the year for them, and that starts April 29th, and that'll run through the whole week. So if anybody wants to go watch some hockey games, I'm not sure of how many teams are in it because they're having a little bit of a turmoil within the whole organization, not GTHA, but the whole hockey league. Also want to thank Public Works for the great work they did on the bike path. Tom gets my messages and emails when I take walks on the bike path with different things that I see. Clean up a lot of trash while I'm there because I believe in the broken windows soon. But they fixed the split rail fences along right off of Clementon Avenue, which is down like a ravine going into the water and stuff. They look great. There's one little spot that just needs to be finished. I think they adjusted them. We're probably short a couple, but it does look great. And then going the other way, they re-blacktopped a big section of the bike path, so it looks great because they were doing some kind of. The work company did some kind of work there, but they finally finished all that. We're gonna wait for that to settle, but it looks great. I was walking on that today. So have a great night. Have a great.
Mr. Mercado?
I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Thank you, Mr. Mignon, for the work you do on the Gloucester Township Field of Dreams. And you've headed up that organization for the last 7 years. I do appreciate your contributions that you made for our residents that participate in that and all the coaches that are involved with them. So thank you very much. This Sunday in downtown Blackwood is the Art District Festival, Craft Festival that's taking place this Sunday. Also, here in the front, the Gloucester Township Ministerium is having their National Day of Prayer, which will be in the Gloucester Township Senior Center Thursday, May 2nd, from 7 to 8:30 a.m. is a breakfast that's sponsored by the Ministerium. It's National Day of Prayer. And on May 9th is the Gloucester Township Business Breakfast at Valley Brook. That's May 9th. If you're interested in attending, you can RSVP. You go online and RSVP for that event. That is a free event. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Any second? On the question? All in favor? Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you. How are you?